Hey guys, it's Loren LoRosa, and here is the latest. So we are now 58 days away, 57 days away from October 3rd, which will be the sentencing date for Sean Diddy Combs. This morning on The Breakfast Club, we talked about Nicole Westmoreland, who is the lead attorney for Diddy, in an interview that she did with a journalist over at CNN. Now, in that interview, Nicole Westmoreland dropped a few updates. There's been a lot of conversation around Diddy and the pardon by President Trump because a judge has now, for the fifth time in total since Diddy has been in criminal conversation with the federal government out of the Southern District of New York, and the second time since Diddy has been found guilty on the Mann Act charges, so he's been found guilty out of 2 charges out of a total of 5 that they were trying to convict him on, has been denied bail, right? So he's been denied bail twice since being found guilty on those Mann Act charges. So since then, there's been a lot of conversation because it's obvious that the judge is not letting Diddy come home any point in time prior to the sentencing. And I think at this point, if you're Diddy's defense team, you start preparing for what if. You start preparing for, okay, we're going to go to jail of some sorts. We're going to be behind bars at some point if we don't walk on time served. And a lot of people, and I want to know what you guys think, a lot of people feel like this is something that should just warrant time served because of the lesser charges that Diddy has actually been convicted of versus the more heavier charges like the RICO and the sex trafficking. Let me know what you guys think. I want to hear from y'all. But I want to talk strategy a little bit because Nicole Westmoreland, one of the things that she did in the CNN interview after she said that it was her understanding that we've, and when she says we, she's talking about someone in Diddy's universe. I was told that it was not defense attorneys who have had a conversation with Trump, was not Diddy's official defense attorneys that have not had a conversation with Donald Trump is what I was told. But I was told that it was someone in Diddy's orbit that has been having the conversation. I was also told, and I mentioned this on The Breakfast Club, that there are, other attorneys and people who are in contact with the administration who've been reaching out because they feel like, that the way that this whole bail thing is going for Diddy is not fair. But Nicole Westmoreland did say we reached out and had conversations in reference to a pardon on that interview. But she also began to talk about strategy a bit. And I've talked about this a lot in my coverage of the case. And in the beginning, I thought that it was a great idea that Diddy's defense team came out from RIP and said, listen, we own it. We own the fact that, if Diddy was on trial for assault, for domestic violence, he would be guilty. He may have been a person that was using drugs. He may have been, honestly, a piece of shit. Excuse my language, but a piece of shit. He may have been a bad boyfriend. He may have been, not so good of a boss, a friend, and all these things. And we admit that. He may have been moody and had a bad temper. And, again, if we were here for domestic violence, he would be guilty of that. But that is not what we're here for. Day one of the actual trial, they came out swinging with that. Well, came out swinging is probably not the best thing to say about Diddy when you talk about the things we saw. But they admitted it, right? Like they owned up to it. And at first I thought like, okay, this is a genius strategy because if you admit all of your faults up front, especially the ones that are kind of more like narrative and image based and not like, we're not hanging on these videos and these photos and all these things that we're going to see in court on day one, right? You think about all 8 weeks of the trial. If you're a defense attorney, there's going to be a lot that they hear about our client that isn't going to be so like appealing. It's not going to be the big, grand, charming celebrity that people know of him to be. So let's admit it. Let's admit that he understands that. Let's talk about the fact that he, was trying to do better, was trying to get rehab and all of the things. I thought it was a good idea in the beginning. I am beginning to think that that is the worst thing that they could have done. And here's why. Number one, it's been the reason why Diddy has not been able to get out on bail. And listen, you didn't need Diddy's defense team to admit to any of those things for them to not be true or be found true or not be believed in court. We sat through at least a week of, like, y'all are talking about the CNN video. We saw the CNN video, and not only did we see it multiple times and screen grabs from it, and oh my God, I could tell you how that video went from top to bottom. I could tell you what was in corners and crevices of the video because we saw it so much. The prosecution broke that video down, right? But we also watched that video with Cassie on the stand. Super pregnant Cassie on the stand. But we also saw photos of Cassie with, swollen lips, bruised faces, a bruised head. We saw images of Cassie's body scarred in various different places. We saw emails of Cassie just sending emails saying, hey, in case something happens to me, here's what I was told would happen via Sean Combs. These videos would release. These things would happen. We saw so much within like just a week time frame. You didn't need Diddy's defense team to admit anything to believe it. But at the same time, I think them owning up to it and then trying to downplay it on the back end, because it was like they owned up to it. They fought really, really hard. And honestly, in my opinion, Diddy's defense team did a really good job of, being able to downplay and remove him from a lot of other things, which is why I think a lot of those serious charges did not stick. But the downplaying of the violence that we saw and, the power that Diddy possessed in every single situation that we heard of throughout that trial. Obviously, they didn't do a good job of it, but I feel like it's coming back to bite them in their behind, because now you're looking at a situation where a judge can't let it go and won't. Rightfully so, though, right? And that's the reason why bail has not been granted any of those times. And now we're getting to sentencing, and it's like, y'all are already all over the media talking about, well, we're trying to have a conversation about a pardon, which doesn't look too hopeful. I think at this point, if I'm Diddy's defense team, the best thing you can do right now, the best thing Diddy can do, he need to come in there so accountable and just throwing his like, I am sorry. I am a horrible person. I need to do better. I never want to see this happen again. I have daughters. I am devastated. I've been crying every day. I can't sleep. Because we did a story about, him being in these rehab facilities in a prior episode of The Latest with Loren LoRosa. Make sure you guys go and check that out. But listen, I don't think that everything that's happening right now is given accountable. Like, even the way Diddy's team addressed the accountability that they took, and just the fact that Diddy is still locked up right now, and the letter that they submitted to the court when they were having a conversation about bail, it was very much giving, these things happen and we know, but at the same time, y'all only could prove but so much. He's not on trial for that stuff, and y'all can only prove but so much. So let him free. I think that there is a certain, and this is going to sound very unfair because people are arguing law. And at this point, what it is like the defense and the prosecution, it's law fighting law. They're both providing law. They're both providing case study to prove their points. I think a lot of this boils down to like, how sorry are you? And how much do we believe you? And I think that Diddy's sentencing, we 58, 57 days away at this point. If I am Diddy, I'm telling my team, back off. Stop having conversations about the administration and Trump and pardons. I don't want to talk about, the horrible jail conditions that I'm suffering, because, there's been reports about that. And that was in Diddy's letter to the court talking about why he should be let out on bail as well. I don't want to talk about any of that. I want the court to feel like I'm sitting here and I'm taking everything that y'all think I deserve right now. That is the least that I can do right now. Because what's going to happen is he's going to get there in front of that judge for that sentencing. And if the judge does not feel like, okay, just in this span of time, you've learned a lesson and you're sorry, and leniency in a sentencing, there's a lot that goes into it, and they need to play the part a lot better, in my opinion. I get it. People are like, well, other people haven't this and other people haven't that. We here right now, we talking about Sean Diddy Combs, not them other people. And even the other cases that his team continues to try and bring into it, the prosecutors go find other cases to combat what they're talking about. If I were him, everything would be about, listen, this will never happen again, Your Honor. The sooner I can get out into the world to show you that, the sooner I make it my mission to do so. Because right now, the way in the energy and look, I know if I was Diddy, I'd be jumping for joy too. You done beat looking at life in prison. But at the same time, those two Mann Act charges carry up to 20 years. The prosecutors feel like Diddy is the worst thing on. He is God's curse to mankind, in my opinion. If you look at how the prosecutors paint him, I don't personally feel like that, but the way that the prosecutors painted him, and prosecutor Comey, who was no longer on the case, and I did think that that would have some sort of like help for his side of things, but baby, that came and went. The judge is standing on what the judge is standing on, but the way that Comey stood up and read Diddy for filth the day that he asked for that bond, to the point where his attorney, Mark Agnifilio, had to say, well, that's why we're so happy that we have 12 people juries and that the decision of what happens to people does not rely on the prosecutor. Read him down for his arrogance, for his violence, for all of these things. And then a judge sided with the prosecution. If I am Diddy's team, I'm buttoned up. Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, my client wants to. I think that should be the next and final time we hear Diddy speak in court, if he is able to. He thanked the judge for doing a good job. And then they're on CNN interviews and they're having the energy as if, Diddy is being railroaded and the book is being thrown out. Regardless of what's happening right now, humble thyself. Listen, they're talking, Nicole Westmoreland is talking strategy on CNN. I'm talking strategy right here with the latest with Loren LoRosa. That is how I would approach this, because at this point, bail ain't happening, buddy. And you just want to get home. Humble thyself. For real, for real.